We'll try and bluff our way through a chat with poker pro and TV commentator Lacey Jones.
Curtain Call with David Spatz, presented by Borgata Hotel, Casino and Spa.
You know, over the years, we have brought you our conversations with some of the biggest stars in the world, which brings us again tonight to the Borgata Hotel, Casino and Spa. Not in the music box, not in the event center where you usually find us. Today we're in level 1. This is the high stakes blackjack and gaming area, because our guest tonight is one of the biggest stars of the poker world. Lacey Jones, good to see you again.
Nice to see you too.
Welcome back to Atlantic City.
Thank you.
The big Borgata Poker Open underway. So are you here to play in it, to work it, or both?
Both, and to have fun at the same time. We've got a birthday party coming up for Christina Lindley, so we're going to party, but the main agenda is basically to win this main event that's coming up. Okay, so you're in it to win it? Yes.
Okay. Let's go back to your roots in poker, because it was a most unlikely start for you. I mean, you came out of college, a degree in political science and French,
yep.
But you were what, tending bar and playing poker on the side?
I was. I've been playing poker ever since I was a kid and comfortable with the game, and I started playing in high school, and then in college it was just easy to play against the drunk frat guys that would come into my bar. I'd feed them a lot of drinks and then ask where the game was afterwards and play. And
so were you playing them, or what? Was that like an agenda?
I wasn't really playing them. I mean, they thought that they could beat a girl, and I was sober and they weren't, and it just happened to work out most of the time in my favor. There were some nights where I kind of gave it back a little, but for the most part, I actually made more money playing against the guys than I would that night bartending, and that was actually really lucrative.
You said you were playing since you were a kid. Your grandmother was the one who got you into poker, right?
Yes.
So women playing poker in your family goes back several generations?
It does, and they were the better players, so I never had it in my head that it was a guy's game. Right. For me, I thought the guys were always full of it, and we could read the guys, and so it kind of worked out that I actually was comfortable sitting down at a table when other women might actually be really intimidated, thinking that the guys are, you know, the ones that know how to play, where really it's just about learning the game.
When did poker kind of cross the line and stop being a guy's thing and become a co-ed sport?
Well, you know, it's still almost a guy's game. I mean, you're starting to see women trickle in, but even this past main event for the World Series, there was only 3% that were women playing out of the 7,000 players. So we still have a long way to go, but you're starting to see women like Vanessa Selbst win major events and other women do really well. And Maria Ho taking second place in a 5K, that, you know, we're starting to not think that only guys can play and that women are kind of just having fun and maybe messing with some money here and there and really can't win. So it's really nice to see women do well. And the more that women see other women do well, then they'll be more comfortable coming into the game and saying, hey, maybe I can do this.
All right, so you're working in the bar, you're feeding the frat guys drinks, they're getting drunk, then you're playing poker against them, you're beating them. At what point do you think, hey, you know what, this could be more than just a hobby for me?
Well, you know, it was never even something I thought or took seriously. I decided I was going to take a break before I went to law school. So after I graduated college, I went to LA, started doing commercials and got into acting. And my agent knew that I was playing in some home games that I would just randomly find out about. And so she was like, well, I just found out about this ESPN charity event for Mike and Mike in the Morning that do the radio show, right. And it's for cystic fibrosis. They need a few models for the event, just bust out and then get on the radio. Well, I didn't end up busting out till way late and went really deep in the tournament, never rebought once in this rebuy event. And so they were joking the whole time, like, who is this blonde girl that doesn't want to talk to us? She's like, here in the field, she'd rather sit with all these crazy looking guys. She doesn't want to sit up with us. And the other 3 girls had busted within 15 minutes of the tournament. So from them talking, the word kind of got out that there's this model that's playing, and they somehow found my agent about a week later and asked if there was another site that was interested in getting basically a hot girl to play the World Series and wear their patch. And I have always known that I was kind of like a gimmick in a way to kind of promote a site, but I actually knew how to play. And so it took some time though to really become a tournament player and to learn the ins and outs and strategy, and I'm still learning today. But I kind of found my in a time where women really weren't playing. And when I got sponsored, there was only 3 other women that were sponsored pros out of a few hundred guys that were on sites internationally. And so I really stood out, and the age gap between me and the other women was almost 15 to 20 years.
Really?
So I definitely stood out, and it really helped.
So you were a gimmick?
I'll admit it. I was.
You
yes.
parlayed a gimmick into something more than that.
Well, in a way, being a model ever since I was 10, I've always known that I'm representing a company, and not every woman is my size or looks like I do. Right. So I'm selling a product, and in a way, for me in poker, I was selling a site, and by wearing a patch, I was getting photographed very easily over another guy who might just be, an average guy wearing a hoodie. More people are going to take photos of me than that guy. So I knew.
But you were selling yourself too.
Of course,
right.
definitely.
Okay. At what point did you say, you know what? I might have to save law school till I'm in my 40s or something. I mean, is that still something you think about?
Do
you regret not going to law school?
Not necessarily. I think the way that I was going, it would have been a ton of work for me, and I might never have enjoyed it. And the end result is what I would like to do is do lobbying for a special interest group that I care about. For this, what I'm doing with poker and getting my name out there, I'm starting to get notoriety for my name, and that I might not even need the JD behind my name, where I can speak on behalf of a company and start lobbying for something that I care about. So I kind of maybe did that whole skip the 3 years, which I would have done my JD and master's at the same time, so I actually skipped 4 years and all the work that had to go along with it. So I saved myself maybe a good 15, 20 years, and hopefully in about another 5 years I can get to that point already.
So in other words, what you're doing now is establishing the Lacey Jones brand without necessarily saying, oh, you know what, she's a lawyer, she's a model, she's got all these titles behind her, which like to a lot of people would like legitimize you.
Exactly. Well, being a female and blonde and everything else that I kind of have in this package, most people are never going to think that I have the IQ that I do, or that I really earn my way into. If I were to do law, people might think that I had done something to get to that level, and I always felt like I needed that credibility, but I feel like I've kind of proven my point, and everyone knows, at least in the poker community, that I'm a complete nerd, and I like reading books all the time, and I would rather spend my nights hanging out and doing stuff indoors than going and partying outdoors.
I was going to say, so once again, you're kind of knocking down an image.
Exactly.
The image is that, she's very attractive, she's blonde, she's out partying every night, but you're curled up with a book somewhere.
Completely opposite.
Really?
Yeah. If you guys actually saw the books that I read and the shows
what are the books? What are you reading? What are you reading right now?
Well, I actually just finished Portia de Rossi's book, which that doesn't help my case, because it's just like an autobiography, but it's an interesting one on just women and eating disorders and other things, but her being a model and all of that, so it's something to relate to. But I like reading books on quantum physics. I like ancient aliens stuff, like on the History Channel. It's like my favorite show. I'm not afraid to admit that, but I really like history stuff, anything.
So what about like Real Housewives of okay.
No, I can't stand it. It's actually painful to watch that. I know.
Thank you.
I'm not trying to knock them, but personally I'd rather watch women who are in power doing something really well, which I think there's a couple of them, but watching some women that I don't really know the whole show and the storyline, but I just don't think that would be something I'd like.